Rainbow roads have always stood as the ultimate test in Mario Kart, a swirling kaleidoscope of chaos, speed and unforgiving falls. Every version of the game brings a new take on the track, each more brutal than the last. But among them all, one Rainbow Road has transcended the franchise. One track that not only challenged players, but captivated the world.
Oh my god! Oh my god, guys, clip that, clip that!
It's the only Rainbow Road to make mainstream media headlines, and is the birthplace of perhaps the most viral Mario Kart video to ever exist. So what does it take to not just become good at this track, but to achieve perfection? And what is perfection?
Here we go!
The Mario Kart franchise has long been held in high regard by speedrunners for its precise individual level runs. And with an abundance of players competing for top times across multiple titles in the series, the Players page was created. The Players page not only tracks your time and its ranking compared to other members of your community, but also tracks it against standards, which are set individually by each community and are used as a way to measure your time against a baseline within the game. There are many different standards a player can accomplish within Mario Kart Wii. In order to achieve the lowest rank, Newbie, you just have to play a track and set a time. But as you rise through the ranks, the target times get exponentially more difficult to hit, with the top rank, God, being the highest and hardest of all. Usually, to achieve a God standard time in Mario Kart Wii, you'd use a bike, given their ability to wheelie, which makes them faster on every straight in the game, with one exception. The abundance of boost panels on Rainbow Roads mitigates the time save a player can get from wheeling, meaning Rainbow Road No Glitch is the only category where a kart can not just stand up to a bike time, but dominate it. So what would happen when a veteran of the game, but a complete beginner to karts, takes on the hardest kart challenge in Mario Kart Wii? I'm Jacob, and this is episode 1 of my God Sheet Grind. Tackling a new track is daunting, especially when the goal is to achieve a time which the community has deemed the best. But the steps are always the same. Learn the strategies, practice, and grind. With probably too much optimism, I dove headfirst into the track. Let's do it! In hoping to strike lucky finding gold at the end of the rainbow. Getting started, I didn't know what to do. I haven't played with kart at a high level before, let alone on the track which requires perfection around every corner. So I did the logical thing and watched the ghost of a high level time, which was a 2:25 by Ando. Okay. Drift off that. I'm gonna have to get used to these, aren't I? Which I know that I don't need to do path switch, so I'm not gonna do that. Do you know what? Aside from the moon jump, I'm pretty sure I can do everything. But I've never tried a lot of this stuff. So let's see. My plan day one was to just get used to playing with the Flame Flyer, getting used to this new style of gaming. I do have some experience with suboptimal combinations, but honestly, having avoided karting and quite honestly Rainbow Road for the past decade, I just needed to drive and get over my fears. So for 2 hours on the first day of June, that's exactly what I did. No worries, I see. By the end of the first session, I knew there were 3 main areas I needed to learn before I had any hope of PBing with a kart, let alone beating the gold standard. Day 2 saw me tackle the first of these 3 problem areas, the moon jump. The prior day I'd hit it, sure, but not with any sort of consistency, and with such a vital trick at the beginning of every single lap, it seemed only fitting to start with learning this trick before anything else. The kart moon jump begins when you shroom and get air from this little upward bump at the start of the lap. By drifting before hopping, you can be angled in the air, which means when you land and then do this hop, you can preserve momentum and hit the ramp in a way to launch you over the first corner of the track. Common fails include not getting air at the wrong angle, missing the hop, hitting the invisible out of bounds plane, or not timing the hop correctly to get enough distance over the gap. By the end of day 2, I felt like this strategy was now tamed, but going into day 3, it was time to ramp up the heat because there were 2 more areas of the track I knew I needed to tackle before starting proper time trial attempts. The figure 8 section is tricky. In order to make the car faster than a bike here, you need to be in a boost for as much of this section as possible, which means getting a trick off the boost section of this wavy ramp, drift tricking off the first figure 8 section, hitting the blue zipper for low air, using that boost to get a trick off the second blue zipper so you have enough speed to clear the chasm like this. Now if that sounds like a lot, it's because it is. This is that section at full speed and there's no two ways about it, it's daunting. But hey, if anyone isn't going to let learning a new tech stop them, it's this fool. So away I went. Oh, and bonus knowledge, on this first blue zipper it saves a lot of time to get a pole boost like this. Something I regrettably didn't figure out until a long while after day 3's practice. The final section of the track I was struggling with on that first day was the ending section. Specifically, the transition after this boost panel. So with some experimentation and tuition from chat, I was quickly able to figure it out. For reference, drifting off the ramp and nose diving when you're partway in the air is the key to making this turn consistent. Day 4 saw the start of my proper full track attempts. I started out slow, still acclimatizing to the track and implementing my newly learned techniques. But the occasional 50-second lap was creeping in, with a promising run just 54 minutes into the first full session, getting a 50.4 on lap 1 and a 50.1 lap 2. It died to the moon jump on lap 3, but I chalked this up to nerves and just kept pushing. Before long, I was getting better and faster laps, hitting lower and lower 50-second times, and before too much longer, I had a run which made it to the moon jump lap 3. And lucky for me, made that too. Oh, first lap 3 run, let's go! Let's go! Let's hold together this end. Okay. Maybe not actually. No. There it was. My first ever kart time. Unfortunately, it didn't even beat my bike time, so I had no choice but to keep pushing. I was beginning to set much faster laps though, and even managed my first ever 49-second lap just 2 hours into this session. First 49-second lap! And before the third hour struck, had this. I now had a benchmark for how hard this grind was going to be. My best time on Rainbow Road stood as a 2:31.328, and I was only 3.4 seconds away from gold standard. I knew I had my work cut out for me, but I was honestly improving so quickly I felt really good about the grind, and decided to settle in for more attempts that very same day. Before long, I had this. An unfortunate fail, but I couldn't let that stop me. Progress was being made with every reset, and I could feel another PB just around the corner, which is why I was happy to be on another run just half an hour later. Oh my days! What a run! Oh my days! And there it was. At the end of my first proper day of grinding this track, I was just over 2 seconds away from the gold standard. I was improving fast, but knocking 2 full seconds off my time is no easy task. You can tell from my high spirits that the monumental weight of such an undertaking hadn't quite hit me yet. And maybe in some sadistic way, it's a good thing that it didn't. Because if I knew the long hours, late nights and pain that this grind would bring, I may have given up before I even started. June 5th rolled around and I hit the ground running with a 49.850 lap. Just 24 minutes into the session.
Excuse me?
My best lap to that point, and to prove it wasn't a fluke, another 0.8 came just a few minutes later.
815?
My laps were slowly but surely getting faster. My first 0.7 lap soon followed, but the laps were sporadic. I seemed to be lacking the consistency I craved so dearly. An attempt came an hour and a half into the 5th day of my journey.
808? That's my best lap 1. That's my best lap 1 now.
But it ended in nothing but disappointment.
Damn. Okay, very solid attempt.
I like to believe that everything happens for a reason though, and perhaps that disappointing PB fail was my way of building towards a lap that would shake me to my core.
Considered okay. Alright. Dunno. It's an interesting discussion. Okay, that was amazing. This could be an absolutely insane lap 2. This could be my best lap 2 by like 0.3. Four, 5, 1. Not even a high 0.4, a mid 0.4. Bro.
This lap was a leap, shaving over 300 milliseconds from my previous best lap and setting a new marker for the standards of gameplay that I could achieve.
Okay, that was amazing.
In order to achieve a god time, I needed an average of 49.3. So having these digits flash on my screen was a great indicator that I was doing everything right. The following day, I tried my best to replicate the clinical precision of that all but perfect 49.4, and very quickly got my second best lap ever, a 0.6 just 15 minutes into the stream. Getting fast single laps was one thing, but to prove they weren't just flukes, I needed to hold together 3 consecutive laps to inch closer towards my goal of beating that elusive god time. And just an hour into attempts this day, that's exactly what I was able to do.
Doable, definitely doable. Very nice turn. Could be something. Okay. Okay, now I'm sweating. Come on. Oh my days, that was so clean. Dude, I'm smiling so much. Look at this run. Missed the end.
I finished with a time of 2:29.580. A huge 689 milliseconds closer towards my goal, but still over a second and a half away. The celebrations were short-lived as I locked in to try and achieve more. And wouldn't you know it, under an hour of attempts later, I had a great pace onto lap 3. I knew looking at the splits it wasn't going to be a new best time, unless I was to do one insane piece of tech, which I've yet to talk about. A shortcut which, if I make it, would get this failure of a run to PB. This is the path switch.
Wow.
By hopping up from the inclined slope of this lower piece of road, you're able to take a more direct line from the start of this section to the end. To make this jump you need to be in a boost, which is why using the speed of a mushroom makes clearing the gap easy. However, by drifting on the corner of this boost panel and doing a very well timed hop, you are able to get a boost which lasts just long enough to make it to the upper path. This is by no means consistent and not really required for a gold standard time, which is why I hadn't been doing it in runs up to this point. But on an otherwise obsolete attempt, there was truly no harm in trying. The following day rolled around, and after warming up with a handful of 50.5 laps, I was ready to put it all on the line. First, I was able to set my new fastest lap, a 49.424, and I think this gave me the confidence to really knuckle down, because after some more grinding, I was not just on a PB pace, but a potential 2:28.
Oh no! 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 Oh no!
This fail was rough. Mentally, I knew a 2:28 was doable. In fact, my best laps now gave me closer to a 2:27. But proving that I could PB would have to wait, because the allocated time for grinding Mario Kart for the day was over, seemingly, just as fast as it began. The first week of the grind, in fact, was officially over, and by this point, I'd put in over 25 hours to grinding Rainbow Road alone. While my laps were slowly improving, the split of the road at the end of each lap reflected my indecisiveness that haunted every attempt. The path switch was there for the taking, and although it made my laps less consistent, it would mean that each successful attempt was faster. But would that trade-off do more harm than good in the long run? The dawn of day 8 broke, and after some successful path switches to warm up,
That's Loki, the first time I've ever made it perfectly!
I was able to nail a lap with it included.
Okay, our jack strats are not there today. So even on like slow runs like this, which is now an actual doable run, because I just freaking made it.
A 49.285.
Oh my days!
Which is absolutely monumental. It was the first time I was able to drive a lap fast enough to theoretically beat the gold standard. But as I've come to know all too well, hitting a good lap once is an entirely different ballgame to completing a full 3-lap attempt. Still, my first .2. It gave me the confidence and boosted my mood enough to get 2 more solid PB attempts on the board for that day. The first of those attempts was 2.5 hours into the session.
No, not again! No, not again! No, not again! Falling on the last turn! No.
2 228 fails in 2 days could only be a good sign. This was proven true just 20 minutes later after that fail, as I was on another 228
Real
pace,
shot at PB here.
and this time I was determined not to throw it away.
Nice, okay. Don't even need the path switch. Look, he thought I hit the thing. Come on. 28, baby! Come on!
I crossed the line with a 228.7, and the elation was palpable. Not only was another second barrier crossed, but I was now under a second away from my goal, hitting occasional laps that would put me right into the history books. Being so close to your goal on a track has both benefits and drawbacks, because while every attempt could lead you to your ultimate goal being accomplished, the precise execution needed at these higher levels means that, on average, the time it takes to improve gets exponentially longer. Day 9 came and went, as with day 10 and 11. I was getting a whole host of fails on great paces, and hitting laps that would have been fast enough for God standard, but no full run was coming to fruition. The stream on the 12th day began, and I was determined to change that. I had more time that day, and ended up streaming for 9 full hours, and it turns out dedication sometimes pays off. The day began with a host of fast laps, multiple low 49-second laps, and before too long, I was locked in and ready to prove to myself that I really could make significant progress in this category. An hour into my attempts on that 12th day, I was able to piece together a run to lap 3.
If I make path switch lap 3, this could be it. Great. I threw. I think I threw. I think I threw. Maybe not. Wait. No! Stop! No! I PB'd, but no!
A 228.5. Another PB, and I was closer than ever to achieving my goal, and this was with a run containing obvious mistakes. The inconsistency of the path switch was rough to grind through, yes, but it was clearly producing results. And I was far from done for the day. A few more hours of grinding and failed paces later, I was able to produce something that I'm still proud of to this day.
But I've been toying with the idea of moving to Northamptonshire. But I'm giving myself a couple months first. Because I'm like teetering on the edge of everything kind of working out without that happening. Like, I guess life is a way of if opportunities come your way, it's a way you gotta have a balance of turning stuff down. Okay? Okay. I'm actually cooking right now, by the way. Can we just talk about this? This is like 0.1.
A 48-second single shroom lap.
Dude! 48.9, baby!
Words cannot describe how good this felt. And to put into perspective how good this moment was for my gold standard grind, 3 48.9 laps would beat the goal time by a full second. I truly was closer than ever to where I needed to be, and all I needed to do was string together a full 3-lap run. Sometimes though, the universe works in mysterious ways, because day 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 didn't produce any new best times. By the end of day 17, I had committed over 60 hours in total to this time trial grind, and it unfortunately came up short. I did not want to stop, but a pre-booked trip to ESA forced me to suspend the grind until I came back. Side note though, going to Sweden for ESA and getting to commentate a speedrun of this game's 32-track category was one of the best weeks of my life. And I'm attending ESA Winter in February, so if you're going, be sure to say hi. After landing back in the UK, I was worried the 10-day long break from Rainbow Road would have caused substantial setbacks to the progress of my grind, but it seemed I had no reason to worry, because almost exactly an hour into my first session back, I managed this.
Oh yeah. I made that work. That was really, really awkward at the end. Make it work. The fact that's still a 0.4 with that scuffed end, like I probably lost like 150, 0.2 there. That works. Well, well, well. If it isn't my old friend, Rob. I mean, that hour go incredibly hard in a PB, which is kind of lucky because this is the PB. It just is. It just is. Very good. Come on! Come on, this is actually good enough. This PB's, I don't know whether it's going to get the god. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Yes! Yes! Yes!
Was it perfect? Time trial runs never are. But I had achieved my goal of beating the community's gold standard, and now I can finally put karting down for good and go back to playing Funky Bike Wii, just like Nintendo intended. Thanks for watching, and let me know the next track you think I should grind for god time on in the comments below.
Did I fall through an out of bounds plane? What was that?